So I have had a plan, but in order to bring that plan to fruition, I need to go visit the wilderness and gather up some supplies for the plan. So here we are. Top's a bit hilly. We're in the wilderness. This is wilderness. River Tay behind me there. And as I'm walking around, I always see things like this. I think, how amazing would it be to just be able to cut that out and put it into an enclosure? How immense would that look? Sadly I can't, but I can't help but think how amazing that would look with something crawling out of here or out of here. Well, there could be something in there for all I know. But yeah, nature gives the best inspiration. But with that in mind, I'm going to gather up some bits and bobs. I've got a couple of bags with me. I'm going to gather up some stuff and then we'll head home and put a start to this new project. Okay, so here we are. We've been out, we've got supplies. What I'm doing for the first part of this project is I'm moving my scorpions from this 45 squared unit into this slightly shallower one. It's still a 45 squared space, but it's not as tall, so we're moving our scorpions into there. This is a commune of 5. Have been a commune of 5 all their days and are still doing well, so we're going to quickly get the decorations from this tank, which I've already removed, take them from this tank, put them into this tank, and then get our scorpions across to that tank, and then we're going to use this tank for the project. Right, the scorpions tank is redone. It's just a kind of messy, chaotic. We've got a hide under there, there's a hide under here, there's a hide under there, and there's a start of a kind of hide under there. So that will be where our 5 scorpions will go into. Happy days. It's not too dissimilar to what they had previously. It just hasn't got the same height as its previous enclosure, which they don't really need. So that is going to be them. We'll get them moved across. So we've got one here, 3 down in this corner, 1 at that back corner, and we'll get them all across and into here. So we'll start with you. Just trying to reverse back down. Come on, you. In you go. That's it. There's 1. We have 2, 3, 4, and 5. So there we go. All 5 in a tub. 5 absolutely stunning scorps. So they can go and start exploring their new house. Off they go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Happy days. Sorry guys, you're going to have to make new burrows to get some water. There we go. Quality. There is dwarf isopods and stuff down in there as well. So these are Heterometrius Silenus, formerly Petersi. And I've had them since they were teeny tiny, little dotty scorpions. But yeah, absolutely love them. It's good to know all 5 are still doing well. It's not very often you see them all out at the same time, so to see all 5 alive well is really awesome. There we go, just to freshen it up, I've given them a wee bit of that fresh moss that we gathered while we were out earlier on. And all that's left is, these guys really aren't going to mind this. Obviously we want to make sure we fill our water dish up. Get water in there, give it all a good soaking down, and they will be happy little scorpions. So I think everything apart from the water dish and maybe a couple of the stones, or from probably the garden or something, or reptile stock, pretty much everything in this tank has been wild gathered, has been foraged from nature. Try and get that bit just to stay up there at the back, create kind of layers and depths and such like. It's not going to happen. Okay, it is what it is. As long as it's all kind of together. There we go. Nice big soak in for them. Sorry mate, didn't mean to soak you directly. And they will explore, they will tunnel, they'll dig, create new houses for themselves, and probably all cozy in together like they normally are. There's one already gone down into this bit of bark up the back here. I've not seen anybody go into this tunnel here. Most of them already seem to have pushed their way under this piece here. They'll probably, most likely, because that's where the old house was, they'll probably dig out under here. That's probably the most likely place for them. But yeah, there we go. On to the main project. Right, so part one, this is the back, that's the bottom sides, and that's the doors up there. So what we're going to do is just create a basic foam layer on this bit here. Doesn't need to be anything too drastic just now because we're going to be attaching pieces to it later on. Obviously it's expanding foam, so need to give it space to expand at the top here. But all we'll do is make sure that we have a covering. We've got enough left for what we want to do afterwards. Oh, sugar flumps. Let's get a bit on my camera stand, a bit on the freezer, on my hands. But anyway, in my head I know what I'm doing. In reality, we're just going to have to see what happens. No doubt there's lots of professional expanding foamers out there screaming, what the friggin' Nora are you doing? Could be problematic if it's finished. Should be finished. Feels like there's still loads in there, but nothing else seems to want to come out. Oh dear. I might have to improvise a little bit. So I now need to edit myself in here because otherwise the next bit's not going to make any sense. So what you're going to see is a very large expanded back wall. And that was not from the initial spraying of expanding foam onto the back. What had actually happened is I ran out of expanding foam, realised after it set and expanded that it was nowhere near enough for what I needed. So I went out and bought another can of expanding foam. I resprayed the back. It's now dried, it's expanded, and what you're going to see, because I forgot to film that bit, I forgot to explain that I'd bought more foam to put on it. So what you're about to see is a hugely expanded back wall area, and you're going to think, oh, that expanded well off that tiny little drivel that you put on. But no, what's happened is I ran out, hadn't expanded enough, bought more foam, put on, now it's expanded, on with the show. Hope that makes sense, because I forgot to film the bit that would have made sense to the bit that we're now watching now to make it make sense. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so the foam has set, and to be honest, I'm not going to do much to it. I'm probably just going to leave it as it is. What we're going to do is use our natural decorations to kind of decorate this back bit. Obviously, we're going to seal it. It should be easy enough to seal, hopefully. I was going to trim it down and such like, but quite frankly, I can't be bothered. So I'm just going to play around with some materials inside the tank, and then seal it up. So this cracking big bit of wood we collected is going to be the main hide, if you will. Almost a perfect size. I was thinking of putting it more of an upward angle, but we'll need to take the top bit off up there, so we might just break this off. We might just sit at a slight angle and bury it in the substrate, because that way it sits perfectly there. Kind of in two minds. I might try and take a bit of that top bit off. Right, so we've trimmed it down. It's not going to be a lot of substrate in here because the spider that's going in here doesn't need a lot of substrate. That back's going to be sealed, and then what we're going to do is have some of these kind of branches coming off it. which will create a kind of hidey area over here. I'm not entirely sure, and then the gaps are going to be filled with moss to give it a nice naturalistic look. So yeah, we found lots of these lovely twisted, knotted, I just think that coming out with bits coming off of it could look pretty darn cool. We'll work away on that. The most important thing right now is to get this back bit sealed. Hopefully I've got enough sealant. So that's the next phase of this project. And remember, do this in a well ventilated area, because this stuff could bring a tear to a glass eye, as they say. And I'm kind of wondering if I might want to put some coir into this as it sets, just to help mask the background. We're just about done. We're just about done coating it. As I say, make sure you're in a well ventilated area, not trapped inside your shed, because it certainly is not the most pleasant of things in the world. So now that the backing is kind of sealed, we're just going to, now I'm not too worried about sort of pressing this in or anything, because this isn't the main backing. I mean, we will give it a bit of a press on just to help it stick. I actually didn't think I had enough, but I do. I can worry about this top edge at a later date. But what we're going to do is kind of press all that into there. As I say, there is more to go yet. This isn't the final finished thing. This is just to try and help create the final finished thing. There's probably not enough sealant there for that to stick, or there isn't any. So yeah, that's where we're at so far. Yeah, not too worried about this top bit as of yet. Get some on there. Probably should have taken care of this a bit better. Then we'll shake all that out of there once it's had a chance to dry off a little bit. Clean the sides. It's a work in progress. It is indeed a work in progress. I don't know if I've got another glove. Quickly try and get that bit finished off, which isn't going to work very well with all that. Well, that's it. Just kind of smooch that into there. There we go. And cover that over with some of this stuff. Bob's your fanny, uncle's your aunt. There we go. So good. Get the rough gist of what's going on here. Yeah, happy days. Oh, don't want to be breaking the door. Just popped the door out. We need to fix that. Oopsies. So there's really not much to report right now. It's a expanded foam background covered in some coir. We'll leave that to dry, shake off the loose stuff, clean that out, and then we can start adding our decorations and try and create our enclosure. Quite looking forward to this. Okay, we're into the next day. We can see we have a dirty background kind of thing. There is a few wee bits of mist, but that's fine, I can hide them. We've taken a a blade and just scraped away any little bits of sealant that were left over, any residue from either side. Probably what I should have done was maybe bring the foam around the sides to give it a really enclosed kind of feel, but meh, I didn't, so that's that. Now what we're going to do is play around with the decorations, get them in place, try and make sure they're secured, and then yeah. So whilst we're out and about, this piece you've already seen, we've collected some other pieces. We're out in the shed, so it's a bit messy. Mosses, we've got branches up there, cooler box, not that that's got anything to do with it, but yeah, so I'm going to play around with these, try and decide how I want this to look, and we will take it from there. I think it's going to go out there. I might need to trim that slightly more. I'll just bring it down a little bit. That should probably about do. Some of these bits I'm thinking I might keep for on the ground. But it fits into there quite nicely, doesn't it? Keep that bit for on the actual ground. There was another bit, but I'm not so keen on this bit. I really think it kind of fits in very well. Let me put it near the front here. Right. That's fine. Powers of magic, bippity boppity boo. So I mean, it's not 100% what I had in mind when I started it, but I quite like the way it's turned out. It's quite far from the original concept of my head, but you know, that's part of the fun of it, I suppose. The original idea can carry on to the next one. Obviously, space down the back there, spider, space down behind all these twiggy banshee kind of things. I tried to, let's zoom out a little bit, I tried to kind of recreate something I'd seen when I was out and about that I quite liked. So we've got these crisscross branches at the back, we've kind of got the branches going forward. Yeah, tried to tie it all in, give it a quite natural look. I'm aware most of this will die off, but that's fine because it'll change the colour and the concept and the feel of the tank. Not really worried about that in so much. But as much as I have now created my own themed, dare I say, enclosure, I think it's missing something to really keep Mr. Tarantula-tastic, Muppet-headed Goonface really happy, and that is to push the theme a little bit further. So what I'm going to do is give it more of a theme. So we have our themed enclosure put together. So there we have Aragorn, one of the Knights of Rohan, through the forest, and up in the branches we have Legolas, kind of scouting. So there we go, we have our Lord of the Rings forestry exploration. I would quite like to add like an Urukai or something into here, but I don't have one. Although I've only got a ring wraith, and they don't battle wraiths in the forest, so that would kind of look a bit, you know, open to interpretation. But yeah, I just had a couple of characters kicking about, and I thought, let's chuck them in. And there we go, ta-da! That is my Lord of the Rings enclosure, ready for it to get an inhabitant. So the one that's going in here is already in a Lord of the Rings themed enclosure, which is why I wanted to kind of continue that into their new enclosure. You can see Gollum there, all webbed up. And this is, of course, everybody's favourite webber, a GBB, which has just disappeared down in there. Now, at the moment, it's quite a small GBB. It's a big enclosure, but it's happening anyway. And I think once this is webbed up, it's going to look amazing. And because it's going to be in here, I don't need to worry about rehoming it as it grows. So yeah, I think it's going to look pretty cool. As you can see, the moss in here, it's still kind of holding its colour. Even though it hasn't been done a while. What I might do is kind of implant Gollum into here somewhere. I don't know, I've not really decided yet. Or I might do a different enclosure at some point in time. We might try and squeeze Gollum in hiding somewhere, but we'll see. Right, yo. Hey, I don't know what that's all about. Okay, so you might see up in the top corner I snuck him in. He was in the original enclosure. It seemed kind of fit in. I know it doesn't really fit with the kind of story being told, but you know what? It is what it is. Now, as I say, I'm aware this is a very large enclosure for a relatively small GBB, but as it grows and gets bigger, it's going to look awesome. It's going to love it, I hope. It's going to web it. It's going to make it its home. Just removing some of this decorations at the moment. Now, obviously GBBs are kept quite dry. There's a bit of moss. So it should still hold some of its colour. I'm not too worried about that. It should still look cool. So all we really need to do is get you, and away you go already. Happy days. We're right here, right on this bit of stickage, right here. I think somebody's going to absolutely love their new home. Once they find there's hides in here, there's hides under here, there's loads of space they could use to make it into their own. There we go. Absolutely beautiful specimen there. Not entirely sure of whether it's male or female, but nonetheless, hopefully Steve, my boy, will approve of our GBBs. Wonderful new themed enclosure. As I say, we have Legolas, we have Bawheed, we have Mr. Shouty Pants, and Captain Bumchin there. So yeah, really loving it. Hopefully GBB will love it. Hopefully it'll get all nice and webbed up, and yeah, super duper. And as us, we've reached the end of this very long-winded video. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been longer than most of my videos as of late, but it's been quite a long process, spanning over a week or two. So I just want to try and give you an idea of everything that's gone into this build. Hopefully, my man Steve will approve. It's got his favourite spider in it, and it's an awesome theme. Lord of the Rings. Want to go a slightly different path. Most people, when they do Lord of the Rings, will of course do Shelob and Frodo and Sam and the Hobbits. But I wanted to go a different path. I want to follow old Big Bumchin. Yeah, I quite thought about doing the ruins with the Ringwraith and Aragorn and the battle, but I didn't. I did the forestry. So I've got Legolas up in the trees there. I quite fancy adding an orc / Uruk-hai figure, so if anyone's got one they don't want, you know, please feel free to send it this way. But that's it from me to you guys. As always, if you watched this far, thank you ever so much. It means the world to me and truly appreciate it. That's our second themed build with our Oz Buffy build there, and of course this Lord of the Rings build. But anyway, and that's it from me to you guys. As always, please do pop your comments below. Consider subscribing if you're not already. And more importantly, be good, be kind, and please do take care of yourselves. That's it from me to you guys. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you ever so much. And yeah, please do let me know what you think.